Hi, and welcome to the Self-Trust Summit. My name is Pia, and I'm your host. And I'm excited to introduce you to Tammy Dunnett. Tammy is an ex-target of workplace bullying turned communication coach and CEO of Relationship Revolution. Her goal is to change the way relationship is done, and she helps others confidently handle difficult conversations so they can create better connections and emerge with their relationship intact. Welcome to the Self-Trust Summit, Tammy.
Thank you so much for having me, Pia. I am really excited to have this conversation with you today.
I'm excited for this too, and our topic is 5 steps to trusting yourself in difficult conversations. I love this topic because I think so often it is difficult for us women to have those difficult conversations and follow that intuition and make those decisions that are based on our values if our close relationships are in that, like if the people around us are not necessarily agreeing with us, or we are having to have these difficult conversations. So it's really exciting to have you here to share your wisdom about this topic, and looking forward to it.
Yeah, I am as well, because we are so often conditioned to either be submissive, weak, in order to get along and to be promoted in workplaces, or we're seen as too aggressive. So what's the right balance?
Yeah, okay. So 5 steps to trusting yourself in difficult conversations. Where do we start?
Oh, so the first thing we need to do is set an intention. So when we find ourselves in these moments where things feel a bit disconnected, a little bit tense, it's really good to get clarity on what is it you really want. And often we tend to go to the first, I call it like the big umbrella. So let's just talk about conflict, right? We're in conflict with somebody, we just want it to stop. That's the big umbrella. I just want it to stop, make it go away. I want things to be good again. But if that's our intention, then that's usually when we get into these patterns of behavior that don't serve us or the relationship. So we actually need to go 5 layers deep, maybe even 6 or 7. Some people need a little bit more work to get down to the true intention. And if we have time, I'll share an example. Is that okay? Yeah. So one day my husband and I were fighting. Well, we weren't fighting. I was working in my office, and my office is in the home. And the door's closed because I'm in focused work, and he just opens the door and comes in and starts to chat. Inside, I'm screaming because I'm like, the door was closed for a reason.
Yeah.
Outwardly, though, you have to monitor how you express that. Long story short, he needed me to do something for him that I wasn't prepared to do in my timeline because I had other objectives for the day. So I did it for him anyways. And the whole time I did it, I was angry and I was disconnected from him, and I could feel the distance between us. And I was halfway through this, driving him where he needed to go, and I was like, this isn't what I want. This isn't what I want. I want to be connected with my husband, and I'm already doing the thing that's ticking me off, so I might as well rein it in. So when I got clear on my intention of connection with him, the heat dissipated very quickly, and I was able to engage in a very different way.
That's so powerful, and I can recognize that in my own life as well. Like feeling something but not explaining it out loud, like this is why I don't want to do this right now, or something like that. I'm a person with a very creative flow that doesn't necessarily come up with words. So when someone takes me out of that creative flow, it can be very frustrating, but I'm not very used to saying what is going on inside. So that is such a powerful example. So looking for the intention behind the conversations, that is the first step, right?
Yes, yeah, because we often go with that first thought, like we just need to separate ourselves from the tension. And however we naturally do that, sometimes we walk away from it, other times we go head into it. But often, if we just take a moment and think about what I really want here in this situation, and ask that 5 times deep, why does that matter? Why does that matter? And you keep going till you get to the true core of what you want, then you're going to act in a way that's more meaningful.
Okay, and how would you say, how do we recognize that we are deep enough in that intent?
Great question. It comes down to a value. It'll come down to a core value, like I want to be respected. Sometimes we can get there really quickly, right? So I did what I needed to do to support him, because in that moment I was thinking, okay, fine, I'll just do it, and I can readjust my whole day for you. Not a big deal. And I did it angrily. But when I was saying to myself, okay, why am I mad at him? Why did I do this out of anger? My anger was misplaced. My anger was to myself because I didn't stand up for my boundaries. Well, why did my boundaries matter? Well, my boundaries mattered because it means that I can actually get the work done, for example, in the day. Well, why does that matter? Why does getting the work done matter? So you see, getting work done isn't a value yet. I needed to get down deeper. And for me, I just went down a pathway of connection and relationships is one of my core values, and I needed to get there.
Yeah, okay. That's, oh my goodness, such a great explanation of how do we know we are deep enough. And as you know, values is one big part of this summit as well, like making choices based on your values. So this is just perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
So is there something else we should know about the intention part before we move on to the next step?
Yeah, I think you'll know you hit it when it resonates with you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if you can go, oh, okay, that's it. Like, this is really what I want to honor, and I'm not aligned with it right now. That's why I'm in conflict, because I've been taken away from what I really want, and I need to find the way back.
Okay. And the second step, what is
The second step is purposeful planning.
Mm-hmm.
So once you got to that intention, your planning becomes more aligned with what you really want for yourself and the relationship. So if we stick with this example, my first reaction was, I just wanted him to stop harassing me so I can get back to work. So I did what he needed me to do. My planning then was, I'm going to abandon my work. I'm going to rush him to where he needs to go. My planning was all about rearranging things.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got down to the core value of connection, my actions changed. I stopped being angry at him and realized the anger was with me because I couldn't speak up for myself in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And so then the conversation we had also changed because my planning shifted to align with what I really wanted.
Okay, so purposeful planning purposefully. Okay. Is there something else about that we should talk about right now?
I think the key to the purposeful planning is to know your intention. Without the intention set, you don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
And so often we're in reactive mode, and that's because we didn't stick. Step one is so critical to the rest of the process. When we're in reactive mode, we're in fight or flight. We're not purposeful. We're not serving the relationship. We're not serving our goals and our vision. And so once that intention is truly set, and it can change, right? Like in the middle of something, you're like, you know what? This doesn't feel right. I want something different.
Yeah.
And that's going to take you down a different pathway.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I were to use an example of workplace conflict, because that's often where you'll see me. If I'm having conflict, I'm going to quit. Done, I'm quitting. So my planning then becomes getting my resume, looking for jobs, buying an outfit, practicing my interviewing. But if I'm in a difficult conversation, I think, no, I love this job. I want to stay. My planning is, how do I figure this out? Who do I need to talk with? Does that help make the differentiation between the two stages? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, the third step.
Okay, the third step is probably the most important. I mean, I said the first step is the most important, but the third step actually realigns us with step number one, and it's a gut check. It's to do a gut check, because here's what happens. We often will say, okay, the next time I see this person, I'm going to tell them what I need or what I think or what was wrong. I'm going to have that hard conversation with them. And then we see them and we don't take the opportunity. We go, maybe we'll just let that go. Water under the bridge, stuff it away again. We don't follow through. And so in step 3, what we're doing is getting quiet for a moment, because the opportunity will come and your heart's going to beat and you're going to be nervous and scared, like, oh my God, am I going to really do this? Yes, you are. But what you need to do to move forward into step 4 is to do a gut check and remind yourself of that core intention, why you set out to create all of this planning, you know, when you were going to say something, what you would say, what your vision is, and you're going to actually get connected and grounded back into that. That's going to help you go into step 4, which is to actually do it. You need to have the conversation. I call these courageous conversations in my program, because courage comes before confidence. Confidence comes after doing and experiencing and exploring the limits of your abilities and then pushing those limits.
Yeah.
So having that courageous conversation is, in fact, step 4. There's no way around it. It needs to happen.
Okay. And the final step, step 5.
Yeah, the final step is one that's often overlooked. And I think this is why we don't have great resolution of conflict in our relationships, because we don't stop to look at what we just did. We don't reflect on it to say, hey, what did I really like about that?
Mm-hmm.
And what would I like to do differently the next time something similar comes up? Even if it's in the same relationship or with somebody else. This is where we're building our tool bank and our memory bank of the things that we appreciated about how we brought up the subject. Maybe we did it in a way that was super connected. Like when you said something, they just softened and they melted in your hands and you're like, oh my God, I want to capture that. I want to make sure I do that again.
Yeah.
But often what happens is when it's done, we're just like, oh, thank God. Get me a big drink. I can't believe I just did that.
Yeah. Okay. How did you come up with these 5 steps?
Oh, I love that you asked that. So, funny story,
Mm-hmm.
they came out of me looking back at all of the times I was successful. I was hearing people in my world say, gosh, I wish I had your confidence.
Mm-hmm.
And I would chuckle inside because they didn't know when I was 16, 17, 18, in my 20s, and even in my 30s, there was a lot of shyness and awkwardness in me in having these conversations. In fact, my very first conversation happened under a knitted blanket, like me hiding with the other person in the room, because I was feeling so vulnerable and exposed, and yet I still wanted to have this conversation. And the only way I could do it in that moment was to grab my grandma's knitted blanket that was sitting on the couch beside me and throw it over top of me. And God bless his soul, this is an ex-boyfriend. He sat there and he still had that conversation with me.
That is such a great example. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So looking back at all those moments when I heard people saying, I wish I had your confidence, and I was like, well, what am I doing differently that they're not tapping into yet? And I started to look at all of those and I'm like, okay, I see this pattern of things that I'm doing. And it's these 5 steps.
Yeah, and I love that wording, like, what am I doing that they are not doing yet? Because this is a skill that you can learn. And there are so many skills that we can learn, but we just like admire in other people, like you're so confident in creating videos or something like that. And we haven't like really seen the path that they've taken to get there. So
Yeah, that's the courageous part.
Yeah, so recognizing the patterns. Okay. Could you share with us something about like what are some common, what's the word, common like pitfalls that people have with these difficult conversations?
Yeah, I think the first thing is they see themselves as incapable.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I have a belief that the old labels of how we define ourselves in conflict are not serving us anymore. And you've probably heard some of them, like I'm an avoider, I'm an accommodator, assertive, aggressive, and passive aggressive. Those are the 5 key ones. What I've come to notice is that when people label themselves, and we do this with great pride, right? Oh no, I couldn't do that. I'm such an avoider. There's no way I could do that. It's almost like we're wearing it like a piece of garment, like it's a clothing article that you just cannot strip off of me. So I always invite people to take that armor off and notice how you're being in conflict. What is the energy that you're bringing? Who are you? Not an avoider, but who are you being? So what's the movement? And in my program, what I teach is 4 different styles of movement. Pausing. It's an energy, it's a flow. So if I'm in pausing, this is like the old avoider and accommodator. Really what I'm doing is I'm taking time and space to consider what's important to me, to learn to trust that intuition, because I'm feeling a little bit overridden right now with my emotions. I need those to calm down so I can really get clear on what it is that I want. And so there's a different energy when you say to yourself, okay, I'm just pausing right now. I need some space and I need some time, as opposed to saying, oh, I'm an avoider. There's no way I can do this.
Mm.
So I think one of the first things we do is we attach ourselves to a label and a container. And these are our boundaries. Can't go outside of it.
Okay. So like reframing those old labels is one of the like good ways to move forward with this.
Yeah, just notice the action you're taking.
Yeah.
So pausing is one of mine, asking and understanding is another. They all end in ing because it's movement, it's action. Sharing and speaking and doing. Those are the ways in which we're actually moving through conflict.
Okay. And when you think about this, like, let's say that I'm having a difficult relationship in my life. I'd like to share with them something that I want to do, but based on previous conversations, I know that they don't want me to do that, or they think that it's not like a good thing to do, or it's not wise, or it's too scary, or it's too whatever. What would you suggest like, of course, I start with these 5 steps that you've already shared with us, like setting the intention and so on. But when there is that like situation when I'm having the conversations and the difficult conversation and the other person like pushes back very hard, like they maybe don't listen or something like that, what would you suggest in those situations?
Yeah, I love this question so much for 2 reasons. One, it's so common. There's always people in our lives who are telling us you can't do things and trying to close us into a container. I say open that box up. But 2 is the better you know someone, the better you can plan. So let's just play with those 5 steps if we have time. Like, what would your intention be in this relationship that you're thinking about? What is your intention?
Like getting, I don't know if this is at the values level, but getting them to understand like that's how they see the world is different from how I see the world. Like I have a different set of beliefs, and I would like them to understand that I'm thinking about this project, let's say, from my like belief system and how I see how I perceive the world. So I want to respect their worldview, but also like live my life according to mine, and like creating what I value.
Yeah. And so why is it important for you to have that understanding between the 2 of you?
I want there to be the mutual respect for the other person's worldview, and like the understanding that even though we may not see things in a similar way, that like we all have the freedom to express ourselves in our way and live our life in our way. So yeah,
I heard a core value there of freedom.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if that's where the deep enough is for you. It might be exactly that, is that I want the freedom to express myself in a way that I feel like I'm enriching the world and living my life. So why is that important to you?
Because of the self-expression. I don't want to be put in a box. I've been trying to put in the box, and I don't want that. So like having the freedom to follow these moments of inspiration when I get inspired by something, and to do something, even though someone might think it's silly, or it's like not well thought out, or whatever, like these moments of inspiration when you get an idea and oh, that sounds like fun, I'll do that. And I want to have the freedom to do that, like play around and being playful and like just trying out things.
Yeah. So one last question, and we could go further into this. So this is a great example of how we use the 5-layer seat. You answer it once and you go, okay, now why is that important to me? And I'm going to now ask a what question. What does freedom give you?
Joy.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So we're at some core values for you: freedom, connection, joy. We've got some really rich stuff that came out. So now the question becomes, if I want freedom, what am I going to do to get that? So your planning becomes more purposeful as your vision is crystallized, right? So this is my vision, freedom. And freedom looks like not being in the box, being able to be inspired and creative. You have this vision now painted of what freedom is. And now for you, the bricks of this path start to unveil one at a time.
Yeah.
This doesn't mean you get a guaranteed successful resolution in conflict with the relationship, but you know where you want to go in life.
Yeah.
And so what would your next step be? This is where the purposeful planning starts.
like I can see this differently, like how important it is. And when I was going through those questions you asked me, like I started to see that even though that other person wouldn't be okay with what I came up with and what I said or something like that, or what I want, I would be so clear about the like the purpose of it and why I want and that I wouldn't mind. Like
There
it's
you go.
so
I got
that's
goosebumps. I've got goosebumps. Now, I will share, you just highlighted something really important, is that when you're aligned with your vision,
yeah.
you can receive these outside messages and determine how much value they have in your life and determine how much impact they will have on your choices and decisions. You get to make that decision because you
Yeah.
already have your vision.
Yeah.
And these are part of the bricks on the pathway, right? There's going to be stormy weather as you get to where you want to go, and you get to make the decision what you do with that.
Mm-hmm.
How empowering is that?
Oh, very empowering, yes, indeed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So keep in tune with your intuition, right? So when you come across those stormy things, come back to the gut check.
Yeah.
What is it I truly want to create here? And how is their information going to support me or not support me? What am I going to do with this?
Mm-hmm. That's so powerful. Okay, so your free gift, would you please share something about that with us?
Yeah, for sure. It's the 10 safe conversation starters to start resolving conflict. Now, this comes out of research in the healthcare field, but these behaviors exist everywhere. And so this actually might support you in terms of when you feel like you're getting this resistance. Inside this document, there's 10 different behaviors, 10 different behaviors you might see. So sabotage, backstabbing, talking badly about you, those kind of things. And you'll be able to look at the script that's assigned to each of those behaviors, and you can use it exactly as it is. So for example, if we look at sabotage, you might say something like, oh, well, I know that if I'd had more information, I probably would have made a different decision. What is it that you know that might support me? And it takes away the tension in the relationship. It puts you back in a power position, but it also creates safety for further conversation. Now, some of them are actually like boundary ending, like, no, don't talk about other people around me. I'm not interested in that. And it's a boundary conversation. But others are to open up conversations.
Okay, that's great. I wanted to ask you a bit about, like, you mentioned the program you have. Is it like an online course or a group program, or which type is it?
Yeah, I have the Conquer Conflict Academy, and that is actually an online group coaching program.
Okay.
And it takes you through several different aspects of relationships and conversations so that you can find, first of all, your intention and take strides towards that while you navigate those stormy waters. Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Okay, my last question, my final question for you is there something that you'd like to leave our listeners with? Like any parting words, actions to take, questions to ask, anything?
Yeah, this conversation has really had me thinking about how we give our power away in service of someone else, but not in service of the relationship. And so if we are serving another person and we are forgoing our own needs and desires, that's not a relationship. And I know it's a struggle. I struggled in a relationship for many years, in my marriage actually. 15 years in, we were both right fighters, and one of us had to change. And it was me who finally said, oh my God, like things aren't going to change after 15 years. I had to step up differently. And just in one conversation, we shifted the trajectory of how we connected when things were hard. And so it's being courageous to step into that moment and not feel like what you're going to do is going to harm it, because conversation is connection and connection is change.
Yeah, that is so, Tammy, that is so, I don't know how to say this. This is so exciting conversation, because I can really see how this will help us women to have those difficult conversations. And I just love how you said, like not serving the other person, but the relationship. So it's such an important, not just like serving the other person or serving me, but serving the relationship. That is so powerful. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute honor having this conversation today.